Thank you, Charlie. Today, the initial court appearance is scheduled for 3 Trump allies charged with orchestrating Wisconsin's fake electors scheme to overturn the 2020 election. Our state capitol bureau chief, Vanessa Kelson, breaks down what we know so far about this case.
Just 2 days ahead of their initial appearance in Dane County Court, the Wisconsin Department of Justice brought another 10 felony charges against each of the 3 defendants.
The decisions we make will be based on the facts and the law, not on the identity of any individual or their role.
Attorney General Josh Kaul filed the initial charges in June against former Trump aide Michael Roman and attorneys Jim Troupis and Kenneth Chesbro. Tuesday's new 10 forgery felony charges are for defrauding each of the 10 Republican electors. In the complaint, prosecutors write, quote, "The majority of the unappointed electors recalled being informed that the meeting was lawful and were, quote, told they needed to meet because of pending litigation." But on Tuesday night, Governor Tony Evers told reporters the 10 Republican electors, quote, knew what they were doing. They should be held accountable.
It's really hard to say how it will play out, but the confident prediction can be that it's going to be a circus.
UW-Madison professor of political science Howard Schwaber says if there's a jury trial, finding non-biased jurors may delay the case.
Somebody presumes that the office of president is immune from prosecution. The Supreme Court has recently granted broad immunity to presidents generally. So these state prosecutions may be the best opportunity that we ever have to develop a record of what happened.
The initial court appearance for the 3 defendants in Dane County Court will start at 10:30 a.m. on Thursday. In Madison, Vanessa Kelson.